Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming out to participate this event out of this cloudy weather. We have Mr. Makoto Aida on the stage. Nice to meet you all. As been just introduced, first, we would like to look into the world of Aida Makoto, and I would like to briefly touch upon the future exhibition of Mr. Aida Makoto. First of all, well, we haven't made any announcement yet, even to the media people, but the title of the exhibition is now decided, so let me announce that. Aida Makoto exhibition, sorry for being genius. So this is the title for the exhibition of Mr. Makoto Aida. And I would like to talk about the subtitle, sorry for being genius. What does this mean? Well, I just randomly picked up the title. I talked to the gallery staff in the bar in Lithuania. I was drinking a beer in the bar, and this sentence came up in my mind. Well, seriously speaking, if I am to answer to your question, prior to my debut, when I was in graduate school, I was writing a statement. The artist activity in postmodern versus trying to be a craftsman who's earnestly doing their job. And I was trying to be on the side of craftsmen, and I meant it. I half joked, but I meant it. And sometimes my works were erotic, but since then I started to work on my works more seriously. And at the end of the day, I asked myself, can I ever become the real craftsman? My answer is no. I still have ego, and I am the artist who tends to put myself in the center of the dialogue. And what I meant by this statement, sorry for being a genius, mean that sorry for what I am now. And I have 3 major new artworks that are planned to be exhibited. And for the rest, I'm not sure if I can make them all by the exhibition in November. Maybe I will be saying that I'm sorry for not being able to make everything in time because I am a genius. So what I mean by this sentence will be thoroughly described in the description to be handed out at the timing of exhibition. We need to translate this subtitle into English. And if I was to, translate this literally, sorry to be genius, does it include the real intention of Mr. Aida, being genius? There was a manga character called Tensai Bakabon, Genius Bakabon, and being genius means that this person has a multi-faceted aspects. But if I was to translate this Tensai into genius, this doesn't mean anything. So we paid attention to one of his artwork, Monument for Nothing, and we decided to use this word, Monument for Nothing, instead of using the word genius, because this way we can better grasp the real intention of this Japanese title. It's quite difficult to translate the Japanese subtitle, and it also depicts the complexity or multifaceted aspects of Mr. Aida's artworks. If possible, we would like to bring this exhibition outside Japan. But it was already quite difficult to translate the subtitle of my exhibition, so I'm not sure if we can ever bring this exhibition outside Japan. But there are very complicated backgrounds which supports individual artworks of Mr. Aida, and we just talked about the subtitle Monument for Nothing. But if we can interpret, or if we are to try interpreting his artworks, I think we can have a better view into his works. And Mori Art Museum has 3 main galleries and 1 small room. And maybe we could talk about the theme for those 3 main galleries. The first room is to give the overview of my works. So it will accommodate relatively small-sized or medium-sized painting works in my early days. And toward the end, I will be showing War Picture Returns series when I worked on in my 20s to late 30s. This is what I call works from my early days. So I will be showing those paintings in the first section of the exhibition. So this is going to be quite straightforward. And for the second gallery, actually in between the first room and the second main room, there is a small space, 2 small spaces which kind of bridge the first room and the second room, and I am going to use that space as well, and I would like to use that kind of space in more playful manner.
So explain that in detail. It takes time. So that is the intersection between the first room and the second room. And the second room is under the title of Chaos. In other words, myself, it's not serious in drawing a painting. That attitude really reflects my true self, actually. And I'm not a good painter. When I paint, I sort of force myself to write with details, and I do not sort of have the freedom or luxury of reflecting my own self. So that will be the sum of the items that will be highlighted in the second room. Spotlight and some video projections, and a little dim in terms of the lighting, and large FRP works like a plastic material. Large three-dimensional works also will be exhibited in the second room. And a uselessly large scale, maybe I have had a chance to show them 5 locations around the world and not have exhibited here in Japan, is a Monument for Nothing 3, which is uselessly large. And those will be exhibited, it's a dim room, dark room, so the second room. And again, there is a little room in Sloan that's an intersection leading to the third room. And the last room composes of, it's a room for large-scale work. Well, large-scale works, meaning 100 meter, doesn't of course reach the level of being 100 meters, but 1/8 of that, 15 meters, I think is the maximum size of the large-scale object. One is many young girls, 2.5 meter by 15 meters. It's a quite long, this is a new work, that's right, new work. Quite elongated, sideways work, and I believe I will be able to meet the due date. I have not really started off with the primitive drawing yet, but it's a large silver, it's a screen, the Japanese traditional screen that bends 6 times, as you know, the typical byobu, a 3.5 meters high, a large screen, the typical Japanese traditional screen is going to be utilized. It's a very pessimistic landscape, which I would just like to hint you on what the outcome will be, but that's where I am working on. Well, in terms of some of the large-scale works that I have written. The recent ash-colored mountains and the picture of waterfall. A picture of waterfall is a school swimming suit girls. Well, this is the first time in the completion to show this picture of waterfall with girls on waterfall. And ash-colored mountain, this is the first time to show the finished work of the ash-colored mountains. So large scales, and normally the exhibition will end, but as a addendum or addition, there's always sort of like a slide lecture and very sort of a room towards the exit. About 3 years, continuously we have been working on a workshop called Monument for Nothing and Monument for Nothing 2, utilizing corrugated cardboard as a material, and people can spontaneously participate. It's a large monument. It's craftsman or artisan is the word that I really like, and that's the key word for myself. It's like an artisan, craftsman-like sort of a approach in really working on an ancient sort of a ruins or a large building, I don't know what, but that's something that I'm working on. And during the 4 month of duration of the solo exhibition, those people who are interested in participating, I would like to open the doors and solicit people to participate. And during, of course, the exhibition, every day I will be coming to work like businessman, and there I would like to continue on creating this work. And if possible, if it deems to be ideal, we'd like to conclude the work at the last day of the exhibition. If it doesn't finish, then it's going to be an extension of this work, and that is like the Gaudi's Sagrada Familia in Spain. That's the image. It's unending work. So I would like to really, as a concept, take a slow approach, not to try to finish it within the given amount of date, a continuous approach. Okay, thank you very much. Within the exhibition, the work that is going to be shown, some of the representative work, if you be able to describe some of your representative work at the solo exhibition. This is the giant member Fuji versus King Ghidorah. This really does depict the Makoto Aida's work to be equivalent to erotic and grotesque artists. And behind that, some social or art history background that is being interwoven into this work. Maybe it's not purely erotic and grotesque work. So this is one of your representative work. So if you be able to continuously try to explain your work here. And okay, can I show the next visual? The basis of the work. Yes. In fact, this in terms of the composite. Well, I don't know if composite is the right word or not. So we come to recall that there was a picture like this in the history of Hokusai, Katsushika Hokusai. And previously, in mainly 92, I have started this work in 1992. And then the sort of called geeks. Tsutomu Miyazaki was son of the serial girl kidnapping, crime, and there were a lot of geeks that are being covered in various media. And if I'm asked I'm a geek or not, I don't think I am a geek, no, but let's say the first generation, maybe second generation of geeks, I belong to those genres or brackets. And to simply put it, I sort of share a sympathy somewhere. Being in the same generation, I have an empathy, some reality in terms of what they had on their mind, and the sentiment and the mindset is something that I would sort of be able to understand. And this being a geek, for one thing, is that, but previous to that, Osamu Tezuka, the manga artist and Japanese manga, and the flow and trend of that, and the history is not direct sort of a sequence or concatenation of the past, but once again coming back to the ukiyo-e, it's art when those people who are working on ukiyo-e do not assume themselves as being artists. It's really a subculture, and it's a mass culture. But Japanese artists, in terms of the work that they have worked on is Kano factions and those people with authorities would admit art or what is being art, and there's a strong influence from China, and some people are unable to exhibit their, of course, refinement in terms of their talents of artists. But this really is the composite of how Japanese artists would grasp the landscape and the people all together. And there's also influence of manga. And these lines of how it's being depicted really grabbed me as part of my interest. And I had wanted to establish some kind of relationship with his past. And that was something that I have nurtured when I was still a student at the Art Institute or Tokyo Art University. And after graduating from the university, the work that I have established. So this is the form of formation of how I was able to put it into tangible terms. Oh, okay, thank you very much. And one other representative work of yours. You talked on the war returns picture, especially New York, the air raid on New York City. This was selected in various media and various occasions as one of your works. But as a work, I would like to first of all see this first, and this is the airplane, the warfighter, Japan traditional warfighter Zero plane flying over Manhattan. At the same time, there are some traditional Japanese art forms such as the picture of hell or picture of in the castle, out the castle, and also 1,000 cranes. Well, it's really a mixture of what you have just kindly explain. It's very difficult, therefore, to explain this in a concise manner. But at one point in time, well, around this season, in the later 20s and 30s, and I am from the faculty of oil painting from the University of Art, Tokyo University, and there are some old paintings, traditional painting, which is wonderful in itself. It's simple and old Japanese paintings. I had really liked them, but it's slightly different from the perspective of being respect.
から出来上がったその日本画っていう
And the Japanese paintings became quite popular. And if you go to the art university, there is a faculty of Japanese painting, and I had some critical view toward Japanese paintings. In other words, I was very much interested in those Japanese paintings at one point. It doesn't mean that I don't, have any interest in those anymore, but back then I had more interest. And I sometimes used those references in a critical manner, and Matazo Kayama are my favorite Japanese painter. And I thought I could use this reference some way. In Zero Fighter, New York City, speaking about the landscape of New York City. It's made of like grid, and when I was there was an illustration of Manhattan, and there was a city map for visitors, and it reminded me of the Rakuju Rakugaizu by Isso. And there was a World War II, and I've heard of an episode and a story from my parents, and then around August 15th there was a special features TV program on NHK National Broadcasting Channel, and that sometimes was too scary for me, and when I was little I even cried at watching those footages from the World War II. So on the theme of World War II, as a modern artist, I thought I had to use that as a theme or source of inspiration. I cannot just, keep writing beautiful things of like flowers and natural birds and so on. So I thought I somehow had to include this war element into my pictures. And the War Picture Return, this is a series. And I think Beautiful Flag is the one I drew first. And then a picture on air raid in New York City is something I drew later. This is called Ash Color Mountain, drawn in between 2009 through to 2010, and this is going to be exhibited in the third room where you are going to show the large-scaled artworks, and this is how it looks like from far, and it reminds us of ink painting. And if you look into the details of this, you would see that so-called salaryman, businessman piled up to form a human mountain with a lot of gadgets and computers and so on. And it's quite a shocking image, I would say. Especially after the great earthquake last year, it gave me a quite vivid impression and impact. When you drew the air raid on New York City, I mean, after you finished that painting, you experienced 9/11, right? Well, I mean, if you live in Japan, you will definitely experience earthquake at some point anyways. And the relationship between 9/11 and the picture of air raid on New York City, I would say New York is like a symbol of winners. And that's why, or therefore, the New York City became the target of the terrorist attack. And this is not a coincidence at all. And after I experienced earthquake, well, actually, I don't think there is a direct link between the earthquake and this picture, Ash Color Mountain, but I had an interest into the businessman's suit. I almost like never worn a suit in my entire life. But in the city of Tokyo where I live, most of the men wear suits. And I thought there is some gap between myself and those men living in Tokyo wearing suit. And even if I try very hard to explain about this painting, it's quite difficult to give you any conclusion. Wearing suit, life with wearing a suit means nothing. See what I say, or it's not that simple. My intention is not that simple. That is not the statement I wanted to wish. It's like just an observation. So I'm not saying, I'm opposed to wearing a suit. If I opposed to that so strongly, I would just go to the Hibiya Park and speak out loud, yell to the public. But why did I cut the legs of girls in this painting? If you ask me why I drew that kind of painting, I can't really explain about my intention. That's why I just said sorry for being genius at the beginning of this session. This is related to the demonstration machine for one person, and also there is another series altogether, and I think there are some linkage between those three artworks. Yes. The demonstration machine for one person is about a person who is making demonstrations saying that, all the salarymen get out of Japan. I looked at the audience list and I understand that we have a guest from major famous companies. It's, I would say, irony, or it's joke, working for a company, being a salaryman, being a public servant. I mean, if those people are gone, the world wouldn't be able to function. I understand that, but when it comes to the art, it's pointless for an artist saying normal things. If I wanted to, make the normal statement, I would just become a diet member and then I would make a normal public speech. But I am an artist, and I think there are things that artists can do, or there are things that artists alone are allowed to do. Killing a salaryman with the poisoned nutritional drink. I tweeted the other day, Regain's TV commercial was about the fighting salaryman working 24 hours, 7. I don't like that concept, but my intention was like a black joke, half kidding, half joking. But suits is something that I would not wear. And it's quite difficult to articulate what I'm trying to deliver through this painting. So after the World War II, Japan's economy grew so significantly, and the era of economic rapid growth and the emerging salaryman, the mainstream phenomena of such Japanese society. I thought you had some critical perspective into that kind of phenomena, or maybe you were trying to depict your own complex. Yes. I don't normally force myself to study, so hard to create my work. I came to realize that at one point. And as I just continued working on my arts, I never wanted to become an artist active outside Japan, having base outside Japan. So if I continue my way of working, I think my artworks would have some linkage with the social trend and social mainstream.
ですが、
So, like the air raid of New York, one of the reasons why I came up with that artwork is because the Japanese real estaters, I think it was an Empire State Building, part of the Empire State Building, I don't know for sure, but Japanese real estate owner decided to purchase, I think it was a Rockefeller Center, yes, Rockefeller Center. There was this severe Japan bashing because Japan money was invested on Manhattan building, and that was slightly after, but there was some ripple effect to that fact, and that really triggered my thoughts. And today, I don't think I will have that kind of trigger to come up with kind of artwork, but here, the international people working with suits was the image. But again, after the burst of the bubble, the Japan becoming very sluggish, well, it is unnatural to say that there's no interrelationship with that phenomena, but still, that was not the only reason. And how about this picture of waterfall? You touched upon the I'm okay with time. No, I think we're a little pressing on time, so we'd like to touch on this. Definitely, yes. This is, how should I explain this? The Monument for Nothing. It's a series called Monument for Nothing. And this is now the third part, or third chapter, in the large Mon Museum facility, in the public facility. based on that, there is a venue for that, a room for that. What are we going to do? And how are we going to fill that large space and large wall was where I really have started on this series of work called Monument for Nothing. And within our art museum, it really is like a former church or, well, European former sense of presence. Something that is Western European. There are some, of course, same philosophy that is on the basis of modern art museum, and I felt that when I was outside of Japan, and it's like simulation of that. Well, only highlighting Japanese trend and themes is maybe too inclined, so maybe church or Christian religious influence. I wanted to depict some Christian influence, so that is the work. So this is corrugated cardboard and craft tape. The underwear material, yes. No, it is water adhesive tape and also paper tapes for putting the corrugated cardboards together. And in terms of the durability, I sort of think about the durability, and if this is completed, we can deassemble it. So it's going to be donated to a big famous museum, and it is going to be permanently installed in a well-controlled humidity air-conditioned room. It is trash. But trash it is, but mankind will be able to carry this trash on to the next generation perpetually. Okay, you want to end. Is that my time is up? No, you want to end that early. Okay, but you are now working on a documentary, and this is a preview, 5 minutes documentary film preview which you're going to share with us. So if you can, are we all prepared for that? Yes. Then while in preparation of that, to show it to the audience, can you explain about the documentary? Yes, the ash-colored mountains. This is mainly, somehow I worked at this in Beijing. In Mizuno Art Gallery, they have a Beijing office, and it's a quite large space in Beijing that this gallery owns, and it's an open work, so 2-3 months. We thought that, I thought that it would be completed, but in fact it took 6 months, and still it was uncompleted. So that working in progress is being shot in form of a documentary. So are we all set for showing the documentary to the group? Yes?
そんじょそこらの現代美術で世界のトップと張り合うよりも僕にとってはハードルの高いことで、負け勝ちがはっきりしてますからね。厳しい戦いな。
It's a very hard work. It's either winner or loser. Artworks is offering some kind of a euphoric stimulus in the minds of people by being viewed by the audience. Oh no, this is not working right. There's still some remainder of the work that needs to be done. Okay, this looks good. It's like Holy Christ. Okay, that's the basis for a dead corpse. The base for the dead corpse. Give me a kiss. Give me a kiss. Come over here. Torajiro, come. Day after day, night after night.
そこはひどい。
This is terrible. It won't work out anyway.
Don't
lick, don't lick. Don't lick here. No, please don't have it licked. Well, I have a problematic character. I have to really refurbish or completely change my character to live in the society. So if I'm an artist, this is my true self. The documentary title is I Only Belong to the Trash Works. That's a literal translation of the Japanese title. Well, 17th of November, the exhibition will be starting. So prior to that, you're going to somewhere. I don't know. I have to, Eurospace, yes, I have to seek the right timing for the launch of this documentary. Why Sati for my BGM, I don't know, the choice of this music background, but, well, this is the first section of today's event, so thank you very much. Please give a big round of applause to Aida-san once again. Thank you.